Ultimately, though, the most powerful check we have on Trump's authoritarianism is not the Congress, it is not the courts, it is the American people. It is all of us, each of us. Fear is Donald Trump's weapon of choice. Divide and conquer is his one repugnant strategy. Law firm against law firm, media outlet against media outlet, neighbor against neighbor. He counts on us being too scattered to oppose him, too scared of a truth social media post or an executive order, or the very real threat of physical harm for anyone to push back. So there's something incredibly powerful when someone looks King Donald in the eye and says simply and with their whole being, piss off.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your courage to be here, because in the society that we live in today, it takes a lot of courage to say that you're supporting President Trump. And, you know, it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. And the media, they like to pick on him, any little thing. You know, he's not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. The only one who ever was perfect was Jesus, and they crucified him.
What you're about to watch is not just another exchange in Congress. It's a moment where tone, messaging, and political narratives collide in a very public setting. During this hearing, Senator Adam Schiff raised concerns about division, rhetoric, and the broader political climate surrounding former President Donald Trump. His remarks focused on the idea that fear and polarization have become defining features of modern political discourse. But shortly after, Dr. Ben Carson responded, and the direction of the conversation shifted. Rather than engaging with emotion or escalating tension, Carson approached the discussion from a different angle. He focused on historical context, personal perspective, and policy outcomes, offering a counter-narrative to the claims being presented. What makes this moment stand out isn't just disagreement, it's how two fundamentally different interpretations of leadership, identity, and national progress were presented side by side, in real time. And as the exchange unfolds, you'll notice something important. This isn't just about two individuals, it reflects a much larger conversation happening across the country.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your courage to be here, because in the society that we live in today, it takes a lot of courage to say that you're supporting President Trump. And, you know, it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. You know, you go back to the days of slavery, you know, and in a lot of the states there were more slaves than there were owners. So what did they do? They had to divide the slaves. So they told the ones in the house, you're better than the ones in the yard. And the ones in the yard, you're better than the ones in the field. And then after slavery was over, the light-skinned ones, you're better than the dark-skinned ones. And on it went, trying to divide people. You know, today, they say, if you are a conservative, then you are somehow an Uncle Tom, you're a horrible person, you're a demon. What a bunch of crap, you know, but, you know, it's been going on for hundreds of years. And it's really time to put a stop to it. So I am very happy to see that you have the courage to come out. You know, it doesn't bother me anymore because, you know, I only worry about what God thinks. I don't worry about what these other people think. But, you know, sometimes people ask me, what happened to you? You changed. I haven't changed. I changed about 35 years ago because, you see, I grew up in Detroit, a bastion of liberalism. They call it progressivism now. They keep changing the name. But anyway, then from there to Boston, a bastion of liberalism. Back to Detroit, and then to New Haven, Connecticut, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Ann Arbor, Michigan, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Baltimore, Maryland, a bastion of liberalism. So I had no chance. I was a liberal. I was way out there. And then I did something that liberals are never supposed to do. I listened to a conservative. I listened to Ronald Reagan. And I said, you know, he doesn't sound like a horrible racist person. He sounds just like my mother. And at that point, I started thinking for myself. And that made a big difference. It made a big difference in my medical career, too. I didn't do what everybody else did. I always started thinking out of the box. How do you solve this problem? And that's the reason that God gave us these complex brains. Your brain has billions and billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. It remembers everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard. It can process more than 2 million bits of information in 1 second. Would God give you something like that just so that you can be a sheep and follow what somebody else tells you to do? Or to think for yourself? And, you know, don't you find it fascinating that so many people say, the president's a racist. He's a horrible racist and everything he does. Well, you know, it seems to me like some years ago, Jesse Jackson actually gave the president an award in New York City because he opened so many opportunities for black people. Is that what a racist does? And then when he moved to Palm Beach, he was right on the forefront to fighting the clubs who were not admitting Jews and blacks. Does that sound like what a racist would do? He is the one who finally got the Second Chance Act done. Does that sound like what a racist would do? When he took office, he brought the office of HBCUs to the White House so it could get appropriate attention, more money than ever. Opportunity zones so that people could take this money and direct it to the places where people did not have opportunities before. An economy where you have the lowest unemployment rates for black people in history. And it goes on and on and on. Let me tell you something. If he's a racist, he's an awfully bad one. He needs to go get a lesson from the real racists. The people who look at somebody like you and me and they say, because your skin is a certain color, you have to think a certain way. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. And they start calling you names. Those are the real racists. But you know, the president believes that a rising tide lifts all boats. He doesn't believe in identity politics, and that's why he's doing things that work for everybody. And we should be happy about that. And the media, they like to pick on him, any little thing. You know, he's not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. The only one who ever was perfect was Jesus, and they crucified.
Let's take a closer look at what actually happened during this exchange. Adam Schiff's argument centered on the idea that political rhetoric can divide the public and create an environment driven by fear. This is a perspective shared by many who believe that leadership language plays a critical role in shaping national unity. In response, Ben Carson didn't directly mirror that argument. Instead, he reframed the discussion. He pointed to historical examples of division, suggesting that societal separation has existed long before current political figures, and that it has often been used as a tool to influence groups and shape behavior. From there, Carson shifted into policy-based arguments. He referenced economic indicators, criminal justice reform efforts, and initiatives tied to education and opportunity, presenting them as measurable outcomes that should be part of the evaluation. This is where the contrast becomes clear. On one side, the focus is on rhetoric and its impact. On the other, the focus is on policy results and long-term outcomes. And moments like this highlight a recurring pattern in political discourse. Two sides addressing the same issue, but through completely different lenses. It's not just disagreement, it's a difference in what each side believes matters most. So what did we actually witness here? Not simply a heated moment, but a clear example of how political conversations are evolving in real time. Ben Carson's response didn't rely on volume or confrontation. Instead, it leaned on perspective, personal reasoning, and a focus on outcomes. Whether viewers agree with his conclusions or not, the approach itself stood out. At the same time, Adam Schiff's remarks reflect a broader concern about tone, leadership, and the long-term effects of political messaging on public trust and unity. And that's why exchanges like this matter. They don't just reveal positions, they show how leaders communicate under pressure, how they defend their viewpoints, and how they attempt to influence public perception. In many ways, moments like this go beyond politics. They shape how people interpret facts, narratives, and even each other. Now the question turns to you. Which perspective do you think carried more weight in this exchange? The focus on rhetoric and unity, or the focus on policy outcomes and historical context? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more clear, balanced breakdowns like this, focused on what was said, how it was said, and why it matters, make sure you subscribe and stay connected.